Greetings everyone and welcome back. This is Marco and well, it is that time of year when I have to face the amount of stuff that I have accumulated in the last 12 years. And also lately some of you have been asking me which of these are my keepers, my lenses that I will not sell, and in this video I will go through that as well. Now, it's a lot of stuff, so let's try to keep it quick. First of all, I've sold a lot of stuff because, as always, I am not a collector. I review lenses and I only keep what I use. So I have sold a number of lenses that you're probably seeing on screen right now in the last 12 months. And I'm actually in the process of selling more. First of all, as usual, we have the point-and-shoot cameras, starting from the Konica C35. Then we have this Olympus AF10 Mini, the Konica Pop Super, the Kloster C63, and then we have this, the Canon 90U2, of which you have seen recently a dedicated video. I was pleasantly surprised by this little camera. Now, let's move to the Nikon system. First of all, we have this Nikon N70 with the 35 to 70 millimeters, which is the camera that I'm currently shooting. I have a roll loaded in and I'm currently shooting it, so hopefully soon enough we'll have a dedicated video. For now, it's an interesting and nice to use camera. And we also have this Nikkor 35 to 80, which is a cheaper version of the 35 to 70 that is on the camera. I still have to try this. We have the Nikkor S 50mm 1.4, which I actually want to sell, but first I have to finish shooting the roll in the camera. And yeah, I'm curious to see how it performs on film. Now we have two more lenses for the Nikkor system, the Cosina 19 to 35 and the Sigma 70 to 300, which have some haze. You can clearly see it here on the 70 to 300. The Cosina has some issues with the aperture, so I will probably make a video about them sometime in the future, but for now they are, paperweights. Moving on to the Konica system, we have the 51.7 or the 28. This is the 28 3.5. I've reviewed it recently. We have the 51.7 and the 135 2.5. And all of these are currently for sale for the simple reason that for as much as I like them, I'm not using them and I don't want them to spend the next few years sitting on a shelf. We also still have the Sigma 35 to 70, wonderful lens, absolutely underrated, that no one wants. So I guess for as long as no one buys from me, I will have to keep it on a shelf collecting dust. Moving to some more odd stuff, we have another broken lens, the Suntar 35mm 3.5, 2.8, 2.8, I don't remember. I bought this like 2 years ago, something like that, and kinda shot a video about it. As you can see, I'm trying to modify it, so I don't know, sooner or later you'll see something about it, but broken aperture, so yeah. Then we have the Animex 135mm 2.8 with an interesting macro feature, if I can manage to, there we go, with a lot of oil on the blades. So again, I've had it for months, probably a year, I don't even remember. Again, other lenses have the priority over this, so one day we'll see something with this. Then we have one of the lenses that I've recently shown you, the Minolta 35mm 2.8. Again, we'll see how it performs. Haven't really had the chance to try it in the last month since I bought it. And then let's move to the M42 system. We still have the Praktica MTL5 with the Pentacon 50mm 1.8, one of my favorite lenses. I've used this camera this last year to shoot the Soviet lenses on film, but I haven't used the Pentacon on film, but I use it, for segments in the reviews. Then we have some recent buys, the super multi-coated Takumars, the 35mm 3.5, the 50mm 1.4, which is very yellow. Now we'll have to try some methods to de-yellow it, but it is otherwise in great conditions. And finally, the 135mm 3.5. Curious to try this as well. Then we have the Telemegor Meyer Optic Gorlitz 180mm 5.5. Another recent acquire, and I haven't had the chance to try it yet, but as you can see, it is sitting on the adapter because I want to try it as soon as possible. And last of the M42 lenses, we have the big Chungus Jupiter 21M with some issues in the aperture, and I want to sell it, but we'll see how much for I can sell it and if it is worth repairing. It's not the last of the M42s because I still have the Granit super rare lens, Granit 11 80 to 200 4.5, very rare lens, perfect conditions, but no one wants it. One of the few Soviet zooms ever produced that no one cares about. All right, let's move on to some more big lenses, specifically with the Canon FD system, but starting from a non-FD lens, the FL Canon 200mm f3.5. Very interesting lens, very solid, lighter than it might seem. I'm currently in the process of testing it, so hopefully soon enough you'll see the dedicated review. It's an interesting lens. Then we have, again, another recent acquire, the Canon FD 70 to 210mm f4 push-pull zoom. We'll see, I don't like it. I don't like the push-pull zooms, but we'll see how it does. Almost last of the big lenses, the Canon FD 300mm f5.6. Very nice lens. I really enjoyed using this, but outside of the review, I haven't really used it, so it's for sale. Then we have the Canon FD 135mm 3.5. Very beautiful lens, one of my favorite 135s, and yes, most 135s are very good, but this in particular is one of my favorites. This is not for sale right now. Canon FD 50mm 1.4 SSC, the older version with the bridge lock. Interesting lens, but not really for me. A bit too soft, a bit too temperamental. I will sell it, but I still need it for some things that I want to try and test. Then we have the Loyal 50mm 1.8. I don't know why I said Loyal, but it's a good old FD 50mm 1.8. Just works. Lastly, the Canon FD 28mm 2.8. Again, it just works. This has some fungus, some old dead fungus in it. We'll see what to do with this. As you can tell, I'm in the process of selling some, if not most, of the Canon FD line, because same reason, I don't use them. It's one of my favorite set of lenses, but if I'm not using them, it's not worth keeping them. Plus, I'm constantly out of money, so I need the money. Last few lenses, we have the Pentax line, starting with not a Pentax M, but a Pentax F, the first production line by Pentax with autofocus, with the 70 to 200 f4 to f5.6. Surprisingly good lens. I thought this might be kind of crappy, but it's very, very good. Mounted on the Pentax P30, and I still have to try the camera. Going from the top, we have the 200mm f4, not on par with the other M lenses. It's up for sale. Another one up for sale is the 28 to 80. This has some little issues. I don't really like the image quality. I don't really like you know, variable zooms. I don't care about this, it's up for sale. Another of my favorite lenses, the Pentax M 135mm 3.5. Beautiful lens, very compact, beautiful image quality. This I'm keeping. Then we have the Pentax M 50mm 1.4 that I reviewed a few months ago. Very interesting lens. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it. I will compare it to the Takumar, but after that I don't know if I'm gonna keep it, because I'm perfectly fine with the 50mm 1.7. Even smaller, tiny bit sharper, and I don't really need that little bit more light from the bigger aperture. Then to conclude this excursus, we have the two 28mm, the 3.5 and 2.8. I still have to try the 2.8, but I just realized it is tiny bit smaller than the 3.5 version. I would have expected the opposite. 3.5, very solid lens, very good lens. 2.8, still have to try it. Oh, and we still have the Olympus 50mm 1.4 with fungus. It's been sitting away from everything else for a long time, and sooner or later I will do something with it. And with that, we have concluded the tour of all the gear that I currently own. And to finally answer the question, what are my keepers? What qualifies as a keeper for me? Well, as you have heard today, I'm in the process of selling many of the lenses. Once again, I don't keep anything that I don't use. Up until last year, I wanted to keep the Konica set, the Canon FD set, and the Pentax M set to build them out and possibly rent them, but there is absolutely no interest in renting lenses around here, so I'm actually selling what I don't need. At the end of the day, if I'm not renting them out because no one cares about them, no one cares about vintage lenses, not even indie filmmakers around here, and I'm not using the lenses, well, it is definitely not worth keeping them. So I'm selling everything that I don't use. So what am I keeping? Well, I'm keeping the Pentacon 50mm 1.8 because I really love this lens. It's very versatile, not super sharp wide open, but it has character. Again, it is very versatile and I like using it. I will keep the Pentax, the one of the two 28mm. We'll see which one I like the most. I will keep the Pentax 135mm and one of the 50mm. Probably the 1.7, because once again, I don't really care about the wider aperture and the 1.4 is worth more, so I can recuperate more money by selling it. From the Canon FD line, I might keep the 135mm 3.5 because I really like it, but basically maybe the 50mm and probably the 28 just because it has fungus, so I probably won't be able to sell it. And the fungus is in a weird spot, so it's basically impossible to clean. So I might end up keeping these three lenses, but everything else I will sell. The Takumars, I still have to try them, but still I don't think I'm gonna keep them unless they are actually better than the Pentax M line, which I don't think they will. I might actually keep the Nikon with one of the two zoom lenses, whichever one I'm not able to sell, because I'm actually really liking this camera. It is easy to use, you can just put it on automatic and she does everything for you. So I might actually keep it to, you know, shoot the occasional roll of film. And we'll see about the Pentax P30, I might keep that as well. Well folks, that is it for today. This video has already been way too long, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching and goodbye.